The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mindgarden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Welcome to the final episode of the Sandy and Toddcast for season 13. She is Sandy.
He is Todd.
And we're going to do a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff today, I guess.
Yeah, let's just catch everybody up on what we've been up to. And I saw an article, and we'll talk about this later in the episode, but I saw an article about an Ed and Lorraine Warren case that everybody, I think, has heard of. And it was kind of interesting to me, and I want to get your thoughts on it, too. So we'll talk about that later in the show. But, of course, last week we didn't do an episode because I was marrying people.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, she was marrying people.
So I wasn't getting married. I was marrying people. So last spring, back in like 2018, for those who don't know the story, I had bilateral carpal tunnel surgery. And so how that works is you're home. I was home on disability for like a total of 8 weeks, which was killing me. I was so freaking bored. And what happens is they do one hand and they do the carpal release. And then you got to wait 2 weeks for it to heal, because if they do them at the same time, they will do them at the same time, but it's very rare. Because if they do them at the same time, then you can't use either hand, and they like you to have one hand that you can use. So they did one hand, waited 2 weeks for it to heal enough to be useful, and then they did the second one. And in that time, I was so bored, I thought, what can I do? And of course, being me, I became a minister, which at the time didn't mean
everybody
anything.
Would choose to do that, wouldn't they? I can't do much. What should I do? I'll become a minister. From the mind of Sandy.
Well, and at the time, it's funny because at the time I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, oh, I'm going to become a minister. But it's actually come in quite handy with paranormal investigations, and because I'm not a religious person per se, but I do believe in God. I do believe there's some higher power out there. And I still have a lot of feelings and beliefs about things, especially now at this age in my life, about how things work and what might be going on. And, you know, I'm not Catholic per se anymore, but I do have these beliefs. So anyways, so I use them in paranormal investigation. I use it in paranormal investigations and all kinds of stuff. Last spring, one of my dear friends asked me if I would officiate her wedding, and I said sure, and that was a huge success, and that was so much fun. Well, I have a friend who I went to the same school with many years ago. She was a couple years younger than me, didn't go to school with me, but we've been friends on Facebook for years and years. We remembered each other, and we finally met up a few years ago at the Herkimer County Jail fundraiser in person after all these years. I adore her and her family. Well, her son fell in love with a beautiful young lady who lives in the Philippines. And he asked her to marry him. It's been several years now, and he asked her to marry him. And in order to come over, they had to go through all of the vetting, and that can take months and months, if not years. It's been a very long journey for them. And finally, they were approved. So back in October, she came over. She left her family and everything to come over. She came over, and of course, one of the rules is that if you come over for marriage, you have to get married within 90 days of coming to the United States. And there's a show which makes me laugh. It's called 90 Day Fiancé. It's on like Lifetime or something. And it's a show all about that, about these couples who literally don't know each other well. And although these two knew each other, he had gone over there several times over the years and spent days and days over there. So they knew each other extremely well. But the show is about couples who, in order for him or her to stay in the United States, they have to get married within 90 days. So I thought it was really cute that I took part in my own episode of 90 Day Fiancé.
Right.
So I was asked if I could marry the two of them in a civil ceremony before their big wedding down the road, you know. So I said, of course I would. I'd be honored to do that. So we all went to our local, it's a gorgeous old historic train station. And there was a beautiful Christmas tree there. And so she wore her white and he was all dressed up and it was so magical. And they got married. I married them underneath the tree in the train station. And it was just such a beautiful event. And I wanted to share that because they're so wonderful. They're such a wonderful young couple. And I wish them all the love and light for the rest of their lives. And I think they'll do really well. And it was really cute because there was a
Are you starting to tear up?
I am a little bit.
Oh, my God.
It was so wonderful. And
what we need to do going forward. Okay.
I cry in everything.
Yeah. Well, you cry in every episode. So what we have to do right now is when we put out an episode, you have to put on a cry meter. So from a scale of 1 to 10.
Should I just yell out 6?
Yes. At the very end of each episode, you'll just yell out a number and that will be the amount of tears that came to your eyeballs.
I cry in everything. That's what empaths do. We're just insane. But yeah, so here's a cute little funny thing, though. There was a guard there at the train station, a sheriff's deputy, and he was probably the coolest guy I have met in so long. He was great, and he was part of the ceremony at one point because he brought over his handcuffs, and we actually got to take some really cute pictures of her handcuffing him to her, and trying to get away and some really cute things. And he was taking selfies with the couple. It was just such a wonderful experience. So that's why we didn't do an episode last week, because I was just so happy for these kids. So if anybody else needs to get married, let me know. I'm available. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to put, you're putting it out there?
Sure. If anybody wants to get married now, I'm like, at the first one, I was kind of nervous, because I was like, I don't want to screw this up. But now that I know how to do it, I'm just loving it. It's so wonderful to make people happy like that. So,
The Sandy and Toddcast brought to you by Marriages by Sandy Jean.
That's right.
If you don't cry at your wedding, she hasn't done her job. And we guarantee she will cry at your wedding. Right?
Or if she doesn't cry at your wedding, she hasn't done her job. So.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
Be a blubbering idiot.
That's what it is. The blubbering idiot marriage, whatever.
8. I'm an 8. So anyways, so that was that. So, also, one other thing that I wanted to talk about. You told me that you don't really do a lot of YouTube watching.
Yes, but it's all older stuff. So, if it's Johnny Carson from 1972, I'll watch it. If it's new stuff, it depends.
Well, I've been kind of getting into the videos that people post about things in the 70s and 80s and 90s because it's nostalgia to me because those are the time periods I grew up in. So I get what you're saying. And there are some really good, I've been watching The Love Connection a lot lately and things like that, episodes, because it's just so hilarious. So, but I do watch, and then again, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the Art Bell recordings that are on there, and I've been watching more of those. But I do want to recommend to everybody a few different paranormal channels that Dave and I both have been really enjoying lately. Okay. First is Katrina Weidman, who used to be, she's done so many things. She did Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne. With Nick Groff, she did, what's the show she did? Of course, I can't think of it now. But she did a show, the one where they stay over. I'm going to look it up right now.
Oopsie. And she lost her connection. So we'll wait till Sandy comes back. I'm going to fill right now while she is gone. And I would say, there she is.
I'm back.
I'm going to go check this. Click gone. Did you click the wrong thing?
Yes. Hold on. All right. So anyway, she did a show with Nick Groff. I'm looking at it right now. Paranormal Lockdown. I knew I'd get it. So she did a show with that. Great show. Really enjoyed it. Yep. Even though I'm not a huge Nick Groff fan because of his previous, he sort of kept that drama in his investigations, which I'm not a huge fan of the drama, but I do like him. They had a great show together. I thought that she grounded him a lot in that show. So she was on that. She originally was on Paranormal State.
Right.
Back in the it was like 2005-ish for several seasons. And that's when I first knew her. So she's been around for many, many years. Love her channel. Love, love, love. She's under Katrina Weidman on YouTube, but she does like a little show called Travel the Dead.
Yes.
And you can watch some of her investigations right there on her channel. So I do recommend, if you guys are into the paranormal sort of investigation stuff, go check out Katrina's page and subscribe to it, because then you can get notifications and stuff when she puts up new stuff. And of course, she is good friends with Michelle Belanger, who I look to as sort of a mentor, even though she has no idea I exist. Or maybe she does. She's Michelle Belanger.
Right.
And so I look to her as a mentor for things. So you'll see Michelle on a lot of her investigations. Another one that I like is Jason Hawes has his own channel now. And he does investigations with a guy named JV or Jim, who ironically enough is from Cooperstown. That's just an hour away from me. And Jason himself is from around Canandaigua, New York, originally. And they do some investigations in New York. They do them kind of all over the place. But really well done, really good. Those two are some of my favorites. There's other ones that I like too. But we really like those two. And I'll tell you why. Because when they weren't on the networks anymore, everything it still is edited, but it's edited with freedom, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so before, like on the networks, it's very formulated. This will happen, yes. This will happen, this will happen, this will happen. And I think that might be what I'm missing a little bit of when I watch the YouTube stuff, because it's very freeform. Mm-hmm. And they leave a lot more. And I'm good with seeing more of the actual process.
Right.
But sometimes you don't know where you are in the process because it's not formatted that way. Like, okay, they're going to take a tour and they're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
Yes. But one thing that I do like about that. So let's use Jason Hawes as the example, because Jason's been in this for 25
probably
years.
Longer than anybody, right?
Exactly. And he knows how it should be and how it shouldn't be. And I am very, very impressed with the fact that his editing is very purposeful. So each investigation that he does, and he just does it for fun now. He's not doing it for a show or anything like that. Who knows if he might do a show down the road. But he usually does three videos for each location. So one video will usually tell the history of the place. One video will be a video tour of the place when they're not investigating. Although things happen. Things do happen. And those are usually about 10 to 15 minutes each. And then he'll do about an hour of the actual investigation. Sometimes it's 4 videos because he'll do part 1 and part 2.
Right.
But what I love about his editing, and I don't know if he edits or he has somebody else editing, if JV edits, I have no idea. But it's very mindful in that they're very clear as to the order with which they do things, where they are in the house, what's happening. They'll play. It's funny to me because we'll be sitting there and we'll be watching a video, and Todd, let me ask you what you think about this. I'll be sitting there and I'll be watching these shows, and I'm hearing things that nobody else is addressing that I think is going on. And on the show, they're not addressing it. And I'm like, but I just heard a voice. I don't know if that's maybe my abilities come through. I don't know, because I've always actually been, not always, I take that back. I've become more clairaudient, which means that not only am I Claire Huxtable,
right,
and all the other Claires, but I tend to hear things a lot of times that are audible to me.
Right.
But people say, no, I don't hear that.
It might just be your abilities.
But what's weird is that it's over the TV.
Yeah, but so what? It's still electronic, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I'll sit there and I'll be like, but there's something before that they heard. Or I'm hearing this noise. Dave, do you hear that? And of course, Dave's like, no, I don't hear anything. But it's very strange to me. But so back on the thing. So to be continued on that. But anyways, his editing is very mindful. And I like Katrina's too, because hers tends to be quite mindful too, because I like the fact that he's adding a video tour of the place. So you already have an idea of what it looks like. And also, taking you through there. Now let's walk into this, or it doesn't just cut to where they are. They're actually mindful enough to tell you things. So just 2 that I really enjoy and I recommend. Katrina Weidman, she had her baby several months ago, and so she wasn't doing too much in that but they don't come out very quickly. It's going to be a few months. They just did one a couple weeks ago. That'll come out early spring because it takes a long time to edit, but just really good. Go catch up if you haven't watched her channel. And also Jason Hawes, because let's face it, there's nothing really good on network TV right now that's paranormal. Nothing. Yep. The other one I recommend, and people might laugh at this, but if you take it for what it is, it's actually pretty cool. Project Fear. They were Destination Fear on the network. They're Project Fear now. They are kind of silly and goofy at times, but they do some really cool stuff. Their investigation isn't necessarily 100% ghost hunting as much as it is facing your own fears. Putting yourself in situations of the unknown where you're trying to see how much you can actually withstand in the face of fear. And on that principle, on that idea, I think that it's a really good show. So Project Fear is also on YouTube. Recommend that as well.
Oh, I thought you were going to say some more.
No, that was it.
Okay. I was waiting for you to go, and here's why, blah, blah, blah.
No. I think it's good. Dave actually watches that, which you'd think he would be like, what? But no, he watches that too. So those are the 3. The first 2 are most investigation based. Yeah. And although Project Fear has evolved over several years now to be investigation based as well, their main goal is to see how far they can push themselves in the face of fear.
Gotcha.
And I kind of like that idea. It's kind of a neat idea. Like, how much can the human psyche withstand in that kind of a situation.
Hopefully they don't mess themselves up for the future, though. Like, you know, one of the things I've gotten into on YouTube is finding stories about ghost towns and why there are towns literally. Because when you think ghost town, you think the Wild West and you think, you know, old Western towns with the saloon and the wagon wheels and all that shit. But there are a lot of towns across this country, cities that are no longer, or they are just a shadow of what they once were. And to find out what happened, I was doing that story about that town in Pennsylvania, Centralia. Like, they did something stupid. I can't even imagine they did, but this town that was once kind of a bustling small city, in order to get rid of their trash, they started throwing the trash in caves and starting it on fire. Well, the caves were connected to coal underground, and it's been burning all these years. And we're talking about since the 60s. So it's interesting to find out that there are ghost towns because of stuff like that. And this fire continues to burn probably for another 50 years and is probably going to take the quote unquote life of some other towns in the process. It's just crazy.
It's funny that you brought that up the other day on social media, because I had heard about it. I had seen a couple things. I think even Jason Hawes, there should be a video on his channel, his YouTube channel, of he and JV went to Centralia. And I had heard of it, but didn't really know much about it. I did learn that it is where the movie Silent Hill was based.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, I've seen Silent Hill, but I don't necessarily see the connection. So I have to learn that yet. But yes.
Yes. I think I saw Silent Hill. I can't remember if I saw it, but I think I did. But it's funny that you brought that up, because Dave and I watched the Jason Hawes JV thing not too long ago. And I said to Dave, because Dave lived in Pennsylvania for quite a while, years and years and years ago. I don't know if it's quite a while, but he was working at a radio station there. And I said, do you know where Centralia is? He's like, no. So I looked it up, and it's actually not that far off the main highway on our way to Gettysburg.
Oh.
Yes. And so I thought, okay, if we're going down to Gettysburg in June, we could stop there. So it would depend. If you guys end up going to Gettysburg, we might be able to even make that a day trip and go to Centralia, because it's just west of Harrisburg, which we have to go through Harrisburg to get down. And then it's about an hour outside of Gettysburg, that far outside of Gettysburg. So if that's something you would be interested in, we could even do that as one of our afternoon trips and go up to Centralia and check it out.
I'd be down for that.
I think it would be really cool. I would love to see, now my interest is so peaked in Centralia, this ghost town, that I would love to see it in action. There is actually a cemetery there, and I feel so bad for these families, because who knows what it's going to be like at some point.
Right.
I feel really bad for these families who have loved ones who are buried there. I don't know, but they actually went to the cemetery. So interesting. So that's just a thought for us in the future, to maybe go check out Centralia. They don't recommend everybody go and spend hours there, but there are places you can still go.
Yo, what are they going to do? Yo?
I know, right? Hey, so that's an option that we might have, is to do a little side trip, and we could do some videoing of it and see. So, but that was really cool. Ghost towns are very interesting. You're right. It isn't just the old Wild West. There are towns in the country that have actually been flooded to make lakes. And there are entire towns underwater in some areas of our country. There are also some ghost towns in New York State. One is called Happy Valley. And there's a couple of other ones, and off the top of my head, I can't remember, but there are a couple of them. You got to walk kind of far back in, and obviously with the dog, it wouldn't be that easy.
Right.
But there are some. And so I encourage people, check it out. Go to YouTube or go online and see if you can find anything that's near you. They're kind of spooky. Like whole neighborhoods just abandoned.
Yeah. And I think the reason why I'm drawn to it is because I pick up on some of that energy. Even watching some of the documentaries that I've watched, I feel some of that. Now, it's much less than if I were actually there.
Yeah.
But I always pick up on the energy of places and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yes.
And
yes.
So I think that's why it kind of interested me.
Well, we know that they're not really abandoned. If you really want to think about it, I mean, there's maybe 100 years worth of living on top of the energy that the land has stored. So, you know, there's no real technical abandoned area anywhere if you think about it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The one other thing I just wanted to mention was this Devil on Trial. So there was a movie. Hang on one second. I got to let Spike downstairs. Dave's home.
All right. All right. I can't hear you now. Oh, try again. You're gone. I'm hearing some. I'm hearing voices, but not yours. Oh, this is kind of freaky. I think you got to leave this in the podcast. So she just left. Let's bring her back in, ladies and gentlemen. Please say once again, welcome to our co-host of the show, the Sandy and Toddcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just waiting for her now. The woman who can marry you and cry. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Sandy Jean. Nothing.
How about this?
Yay! What happened?
I have no idea. I went out of the browser and went back in, and now it works. So I have no idea. That happened last time, too.
Yeah, it was pretty freaky. You got to leave it in.
Yeah, I'll edit out all the crap.
Okay.
So anyways, okay. The one other thing I just wanted to mention briefly was, I don't know who has seen this movie / documentary. I haven't seen it yet. It's called The Devil on Trial. It was released in in 2023, I think. And it's sort of a documentary / movie about the case of Arnie Cheyenne Johnson. And it's called The Devil Made Me Do It case, popularly. It was from 1981, November 24th, 1981 in Brookfield, Connecticut. And this man was convicted of first-degree manslaughter for the killing of his landlord, Alan Bono. So what's interesting about this is that his girlfriend was apparently there when it happened, but they've never been able to get a full story out of anyone. And Johnson is saying that when he killed this man, he was possessed by the devil. Now, this is the first time that a court case has been known in the United States to have the defense of not guilty by reason of possession by the devil. He was eventually found guilty and sentenced to prison. Again, there's lots of different stories around it and everything. But the real thing that I wanted to discuss was this idea of, apparently, Arnie's brother at one point said that the reason that all of this happened was because their mother had been giving them their whole lives Sominex, which is a sleeping pill
from way back when. Yep.
Medication from way back when. Now, don't forget, this was in 1981 that this happened. And she basically drugged them with Sominex to keep them quiet, whatever it happened to be. And Sominex apparently is known to cause hallucinations. So I just thought that was interesting, Todd, because it sort of begs the idea of most people don't believe it was actual possession, although it obviously is always a possibility. But that brings in the idea that you and I have kind of danced around recently, especially in this season, about is there something to the idea that people on drugs, are they
more susceptible
to
right.
these things? We don't know, of course, to the extent to which she gave it to them. We don't know the extent how drugged they actually were. Now, we're talking about adults, young adults, but still adults. So we don't know how long it had been, what are their long-lasting effects of something like that over several years? No idea. But I just thought it was interesting because it does kind of tie in with what you and I have been throwing around. Now, do I necessarily believe that everybody who is a drug addict or an alcoholic or suffers from severe depression, do I believe that they are or could be in possession? No. Do I believe that it's possible? Yes.
So what you're basically saying is, if I understand this correctly, what you're saying is because his mother did this, did that make him more open to something from the other side coming through and possessing him?
Yes. Or there's one idea. The other idea is, or was it just the long-term effects of that caused him to have some sort of mental breakdown with hallucinations to believe that he was possessed?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Is it not only a case where if you're dependent on drugs or dependent on alcohol or any other kind of thing, is it a case where you're more susceptible, or is it a case where it's mind altering you to believe that there is more going on in your world than actually is going on?
Yeah.
Because we know that, possession is not rare by any means. But I would think that the circumstances have to be right. You have to invite the demon in, all of this kind of stuff. So I just found that just an interesting way of looking at this. Was it possession? Was it cold-blooded murder? Was it a hallucination due to the amount of drugs that were given to him by his mother over the years? What was he taking at that time? It just kind of opened up that case for me, even more. Most people, their first thought process is he wasn't possessed. They're just using that as a defense. But what is the answer? Now we have even more options. So it was just such a fascinating case to me. And I didn't know too much about it until I read this article, and then I went back and looked because I didn't watch the movie. But I just thought it was very interesting because it kind of begs to the question you and I have been throwing around. What does that do to you? Does it leave you more susceptible? Do I believe that just because you had 6 beers one night that you could be possessed by the devil? Not necessarily. But what were the mitigating circumstances?
Now, help me out with this. Was it us having the discussion about the different possessions and obsession and all that? Wasn't it you that was telling me about that?
Yes.
So the possessions could actually be in your past. It could be in your family and all that.
Yes.
And right. So
they call it generational.
Did you have a couple of beers before the podcast?
Oh my gosh. I'm so tired. Generational possession. So it just kind of opens your mind a little bit. And I think that's so important in the paranormal world, to kind of keep your mind open to things.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, welcome things in, but keep your mind open to the possibilities of it. And it just kind of opened it up for me because I'm like, maybe there was something going on there. Maybe
so
there
as
was.
you know, I really I enjoyed the Conjuring series.
Yes.
I don't necessarily care for the Annabelle part of it.
Yeah.
And this particular one, it was a little hard to get into. It was a little slow, a little more unbelievable than some of the other ones that I'd seen. So it was a little tough for me.
I think that is like, on the scale of out there stuff, committing murder because you're possessed by the devil is probably like a 10 or a 150 on that scale of kind of being an out there thought process.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not possible. Anything's possible, but it just is it's kind of more difficult to get into, especially if it's supposed to be based off of a true story. I don't know. Ed and Lorraine had such a checkered kind of career in public life that there's so many different cases that they worked on, and there's hundreds and thousands of cases that nobody even knew about.
Right.
I watched an interview with their grandson not too long ago, and he said that the cases that everybody knows about are just like this little teeny tiny amount of the cases, and they did everything for free, monetarily free.
Right.
We've said it before. You can't blame somebody if you're doing all this shit for free. Then it can't blame you for trying to get some publicity to help make a career. You got to make a living.
Get a book deal or whatever. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know, but it was an interesting case. I didn't watch the movie, but I did watch a couple of documentaries over the years about it, those shows. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of an interesting new angle of the devil made me do it idea of possession, and kind of ties in with what we've discussed before. Not saying it's, that it's for sure, any of it is for sure, but it's just another prong in the thought process for that. So,
Sominex. Holy shit.
Sominex. And it's supposed to induce hallucinations. Now imagine if your mother's giving you that like every day.
Yeah. For years and years and years and years.
What are the long-term effects of that?
Right.
Could it be like memory loss and blackouts, and who knows? I don't know.
I would think it would be possible.
Yeah, me too. So anyways.
All right, well, we're coming up on the holidays, so that means a little time off for us, but we'll be doing a couple of things here and there.
Yep, we should be doing a bonus episode at some point. Maybe I'll drag Dave in with me. We can talk about something. And then we'll be back beginning of the year.
I love it. And that'll be season 14, if I'm correct. Yes.
Yes. Now it's been, I don't even know, 4 years. 4 years.
4 years of this thing?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. 4 years.
That's hard to believe, too.
We started in February of 21.
God damn.
I know. It's crazy. Crazy. Anyways.
All right.
Thank you to everybody who hangs out with us and puts up with our craziness.
Not me. Not my craziness.
Yeah, you
the crazy one over there.
No, you got a little bit of craziness.
And this week's cry factor is a number 4. Only a 4 because you really. I'm not sure if that you really welled up. There was a little bit of a wavering in your voice.
Yep. My voice. I cry every day for something. Not necessarily bad. I just cry. I'm just like that. That's who I am. There. Anyway, happy holidays, everybody.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh.
Can you do it like Bejesus would do it?
I don't have the echo anymore.
Oh, all right.
So that's part of the reason why Bejesus doesn't make a lot of appearances anymore, because the echo is shot. So
all right, he's letting me down.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Yule, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah's the same day as Christmas this year.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's going to be the end of the world.
Now Dave's got to get me 9 presents.
That's, oh, Jesus. That poor man. Happy holidays to him as well. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.